Work my biz, I'm too far from the rest, not what you used to. Okay, this ain't what you used to. Always with the new, this ain't what you used to. I do me, do you. I do me, do you. This ain't what you used to.
All right, we're gonna take some longevity spinach cuttings, take home to root. You know, it doesn't even matter about looking for nodes or whatever. None of that stuff matters for longevity spinach. Just take the cutting. When I get home, I'm gonna strip off all these leaves and I'm gonna eat them. They're gonna be delicious. And everywhere there's a leaf node is where roots could come out. So I'm gonna then plant it probably about this deep into usually I use cocoa core, 50% cocoa core and 50% vermiculite for my cuttings, to root my cuttings. And then water it in, and then in a week I'm gonna have roots on this and it's gonna be a whole new plant. And then this, where I cut it, is gonna branch off. This will be bushier in like a week or two. As a result of cutting it, it stimulates it to grow more. So you're actually helping yourself and helping the plant. I like to take, like, if I can, long stalks like this, because that means my new plant will be nice and tall. Instead of taking like a dinky little cutting, which I could have just cut right here, but then you have a rooted little thing, and I'd rather have this. I've been cutting off this one pretty heavy, so I'll probably just take those two for now. Well, okay, one more. One more. That'll be good. Yeah, we'll take these three. Morning, family. It's the day after my farm work day, which you would have seen last week. And yesterday I just couldn't be bothered with potting up any of the cuttings I took. So we're gonna do that today. I wrapped it in a moist paper towel and put it in a Ziploc bag. You can see there's like a little steam or fog or whatever on the bag. Reminds you that these are living, breathing things. It gives them a little like microclimate to keep them alive, nice humidity for them. Oh, let me tell y'all, we're in Miami. So you're gonna hear sirens, construction, maybe some random people yelling. This is real life. So anyway, got my cuttings out. I already stripped the leaves. I did do that yesterday because I put my groceries away. So I stripped these leaves because I'm gonna eat them. I put them away. It's my longevity spinach. I probably should have taken a couple. I'm gonna take a couple more of these big ones off, big leaves. And then this is the Brazilian spinach. Looks perfectly fresh and good, ready to be planted. If I had just left this out and not wrapped it in the paper towel, it would be all withered and terrible looking, and yeah, that would have been poor management. I'm probably gonna cut a few of these into smaller cuttings. I've rooted as much as just a leaf of Brazilian spinach before. I took just this big leaf and stuck it in the soil and it rooted. That was my first success, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. So I'm gonna take, there's probably gonna be 7 or 8 cuttings out of this. I've already prepared our containers, which are just solo cups with holes in the bottom. And this is approximately 50% cocoa core and 50% vermiculite. And then I prefer to pre-moisten when I'm doing cuttings. I prefer to pre-moisten the medium so that I don't have to pour water onto my cuttings that I just stuck in there that dislodges them. But you can do however you want, but I prefer, so this is already moist. As you can see, it's sticking to my fingers. And I need my cutters here. Snips. So the longevity spinach is already pretty well prepped. Other than, like I said, I'm gonna take off some of these bigger leaves that I missed yesterday, just a couple. Okay, so now they're all ready to go. I'm gonna freshly snip the end, because I don't know if you can really see that, but it's a little calloused a little bit already. I'm gonna clip a fresh end right below this leaf node on all of these. So it's like a fresh start. I need my blade. This is probably not necessary for longevity spinach or Brazilian spinach since they so readily root from cuttings. But this is how I do it anyway, and it's been working, so I'm just gonna keep doing it. I strip a little bit of the surface here of this stem. Careful not to damage my leaf node. And then I just scrape a little bit of the cambium layer, which is that green part you see. And this is like the, I don't know, because I'm a former doctor, I think of this as like the blood vessels. This is like the circulation system of the plant, and you're disrupting that. So that's telling the plant, oh shoot, we're in danger of dying if we don't put out some new roots. So it stimulates the plant to root if the plant knows that the cambium layer has been destroyed. So also probably not necessary, but I do this anyway. No, probably not necessary for longevity spinach because it's so easy to root. But I dip it in organic ground turmeric as my rooting hormone. Even if I justify this because I think even if I don't need this as a rooting hormone, it is antifungal, antibacterial, antimicrobial. So I like the idea that it kind of cleans my cutting so that it doesn't potentially disrupt my cutting's ability to root. I use a Sharpie that doesn't work or pen or whatever. I prefer not to use my finger personally because when you push down you get all the dirt and stuff under your cuticles and it's hard to get it from under the cuticles. Anyway, press this down and make a hole, planting hole for my cutting. I'll just go ahead and do the other 3 as well while we're doing this, or the other 2 while we're here. Then stick my cutting in to my prepared hole. Close the soil up around it. That's it. I'm gonna repeat that for these other 2 cuttings, same thing. And this one you can see has more leaf nodes on it than the other one did. That's all of these. So I'm gonna be really careful to try not to damage those because roots will come out from there. Snip a new end, fresh cut. And you can see it's nice and alive when you cut it. You can see it's wet still. I don't know if you can see that. It's glistening, fresh, as opposed to this callus tip, you see, that I haven't cut yet from my cutting from yesterday. Oh, that's a good comparison, yeah. See the one, yeah, y'all got it. All right, a little turmeric powder. A little sticker in. Actually, I don't like this other hole I made. I'm gonna put it over here. Clip a new end. Oh yeah, see how nice that is now that I cut it? Disrupt our cambium. Turmeric powder. I'm gonna stick it in. I don't stick it all the way to the bottom, but pretty close. I push it down to like feel the bottom and then I pull it up a little bit. That's it. I sit it in, I just put it on the floor here. So it gets some indirect light from this window, but it's not gonna get, because you don't want it to get seared by the sun right now, because it's fragile since you just rooted it, or you're just trying to root it. We'll do our Brazilian spinach. I'm gonna cut these into smaller pieces to give us more new plants when we root these, because we know they will root, because they're so easy. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4 cuttings. Nice. Just gonna clip the end off that original one. Give me a fresh end. This one's not as easy, but I think I'm gonna push it here. I'm gonna try to get 3 out of here, 3 cuttings. Yeah, you know, doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I bet it'll work. Okay, we're down here again. Brazilian spinach, same thing, same process I just did with longevity spinach, except it's a little bit, because the stem is so thin, it's harder to do as much to the cambium, scrape it as much, but there's no, it's fine. Sometimes I don't even scrape this at all, but it makes me feel better to know that I did scrape it a little bit. and put a little turmeric powder on it. 1, 2, how many do we have? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me get my holes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's gonna be tight. 6. But that's fine. 8. Because that way when I transplant it out to the farm, I just take this whole cup and sit it, and I'll have a bushy Brazilian spinach. I don't care to spread it. We'll get a little turmeric powder, stick it in there, and of course this one, the stem is not as long, so it's not going to go down as far, which is good. It doesn't need to go in very far. Turmeric powder. Let me stick it in. And repeat. That's it. Now all these little bits, plus this paper towel that I had them soaking in, or wrapped in, will all go into the compost. So here we have our finished products, our cuttings, and I'm gonna stick them where I put all of my cuttings when I first start them. Never mind my millions of mustard seeds that I need to process and store from this past season. I'll get to it eventually. Anyway, I keep all my cuttings in this Rubbermaid tote that I found in the recycling bin that one of my neighbors tossed into the recycling bin. 2 of these actually, and I call me a hoarder, but I grabbed them because I knew I could use these for rooting cuttings, because I prefer these. If you use a regular 10-20 nursery tray, you can't fit as many of these bigger pots, like these 1 gallons, into it. And I prefer to bottom water my cuttings, because if you pour water directly onto the cutting, you can rot the cutting. And so I like to pour the water on the bottom here and let all these soak up what they need. So anyway, and they get indirect light from the window that's right here. So anyway, they'll sit here for a while until I see that they are showing, oops, I pulled this guy up, until I see that they are showing signs of being rooted, which usually is new growth. They'll tend to wither, actually, like this Okinawan spinach. They'll kind of wilt a little bit at first, because I just recently did these. And these will look like that probably tomorrow. But then they'll perk up. Once they get roots, they'll start to kind of stand up and look good again. So it has that, they have that moment of transition. These are Pakistani mulberries that I rooted from when I pruned two of my plants that I have at the farm. 2 of my trees from the farm, and this is lavender cuttings that I took also from the farm. Large leaf opal basil, and these are some Royal Poinciana trees, seedlings that I reclaimed. I don't know that they have these trees growing in my neighborhood and I love them, and I was walking and saw a bunch of these. I'm always looking for some of these once that tree starts dropping seeds, and so I'm a weirdo, yeah. So I pulled some of these up, brought them home, and potted them because I want to grow these out. That's it, y'all. That's the process of rooting longevity spinach and Brazilian spinach cuttings. It's simple. Within a week, they'll be showing signs of being rooted, and then I'll get them moved outside to get them acclimated to being outdoors, and then I'll move them to the farm. I think I've had enough for today, at least for now. I'm gonna go take a break, rest for a few hours.